Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Venu Prabhuji, whenever you're ready, you can start, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Babu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranjaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtikim. Hare Krishna, I am reading Cantor 3, Chapter 4, from texts 1 to 12. Chapter 4, Vidura approaches Maitreya. Text 1. Thereafter, all of them, the descendants of Rushni and Bhoja, being permitted by the Brahmanas, partook of the remnants of the prasada and also drank liquor made of rice. By drinking, they all became delirious and bereft of the knowledge. They touched the cores of each other's hearts with harsh words. Text 2. As by the friction of bamboos, destruction takes place, so also at sunset, by the interaction of the falls of intoxication, all their minds became unbalanced and destruction took place. Text 3. The personality of the Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, after foreseeing the end of his family, by his internal potency, went to the bank of the river Saraswati, sipped water, and sat down underneath a tree. Text 4. The Lord is the vanquisher of the distress of one who is surrendered unto him. Thus, he who desired to destroy his family told me previously to go to Badarika Ashrama. Text 5. Yet, in spite of my knowing his desire to destroy the dynasty, O Arindama, Vidura, I followed him because it is impossible for me to bear the separation from the lotus feet of the Master. Text 6. Thus following, I saw my patron and master, Lord Sri Krishna, sitting alone and deeply thinking, taking shelter on the bank of the river Saraswati, although he is the shelter of the goddess of fortune. Text 7. The Lord's body is blackish, but is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, and very, very beautiful. His eyes are always peaceful, and they are reddish like the rising morning sun. I could immediately recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his four hands, different symbolic representations, and yellow silk garments. Text 8. The Lord was sitting, taking rest against a young banyan tree, with his right lotus foot on his left thigh, and although he had left all household comforts, he looked quite cheerful in that posture. Text 9. At that time, after traveling in many parts of the world, Maitreya, a great devotee of the Lord and a friend and a well-wisher of the greatest sage Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, reached that spot out of his own perfect accord. Text 10. Maitreya Muni was greatly attached to him, the Lord, and he was listening in pleasing attitude with his shoulder lowered, while a smile and a particular glance upon me, having allowed me to rest, the Lord spoke as follows. Text 11. O Vasu, I know from within your mind what you desired in the days of war, when the Vasus and other demigods responsible for the expanding of the universal affairs performed sacrifices. You particularly desired to achieve my association. This is very difficult for others to obtain, but I award it unto you. Text 12. O honest one, your present life is the last and supermost, because this term of life you have been awarded my ultimate favor. Now you can go to my transcendental abode, Vaikuntha, by leaving this universe of conditioned living entities. Your visit to me in this lonely place, because your pure and unflinching devotional service is a great boon for you. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Venu Prabhuji. Krishna Prabhuji, whenever you're ready, you can start, Prabhuji.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Venu Prabhuji, for reading the translation of the slokas. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachatta Deshatani Nityanda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktaram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you all for joining. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4, title Vidura Approaches Maitreya. Slokas from 1 to 12. So just to give a background, we heard in the previous chapter, this is a conversation between Vidura and Uddhava in the previous chapter. So Uddhava is narrating, or he's remembering Lord Krishna and telling to Vidura the pastimes of Krishna out of Vrindavana, like Madura or Dwaraka or Hastinapura, like that. So he shares those pastimes to Vidura, like how he killed Kamsa, and after that how he completed his education, taking as a guru as Sandeep Muni, and his marriage with Rukmini and others, and how he killed several demons like Narakasura, and then how he made Yudhishthira Maharaj as the emperor. Then he also started narrating the curse of Yadus, the Yadu dynasty annihilation. So those kind of things in the previous chapter, Uddhava is remembering and sharing with Vidura. And in this chapter, we hear Uddhava continues that narration, how the Yadu dynasty is annihilated. Then Krishna sat under a banana tree, and then at that time, Uddhava and Maitreya Muni met Lord Krishna. Then Krishna enlightened both of them with the Srimad Bhagavatam knowledge. And then Lord Krishna told to Uddhava to go to Badarika Ashram. And then hearing all these things from Uddhava, Vidura requested to enlighten the same Srimad Bhagavatam that he heard from the Supreme Lord. But Uddhava, out of humbleness, so he requested Vidura to approach Maitreya Muni and hear from him that Srimad Bhagavatam, because Maitreya Muni is also there when Supreme Lord Krishna enlightened or narrated the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the first sloka, we see that this is a continuation of the previous chapter, that Yadu dynasty annihilation. Like we heard yesterday that how, of course, this pastime is narrated in the 11th canto in detail, like how one of the Yadu member, the son of Krishna, Samba, was dressed as a woman and decorated as a pregnant lady, and then approached these Brahmanas and Vaishnavas just to joke with him. And then we hear the curse of from the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas that this pregnancy causes the Yadu dynasty annihilation, like that. So there are several instructions Krishna is giving from that pastime, that even though one is the own family member of Krishna, if he offends Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, then there will be a fall down from their higher position or the spiritual position. And also this is the pastime that Krishna is arranged so that all his Yadu members, so he wants to take them back to their original positions. So this is the pastime that's going on. So where the descendants of Vrishni and Bhoja, so they went to Prabhas Kshetra and doing Yajna, and after the Yajna is performed by the Brahmanas. So these the descendants of Krishna and Bhoja, with the permission of the Brahmanas, they took the Krishna Prasad. And after, not only that, after that, what they did is they drank liquor made of rice. And the effect is, by drinking, they all became delirious and also the benefit of knowledge. So due to that, they blasphemed each other with harsh words, so which touched the heart of others, and that caused the pain. In this purport, Prabhupada mentions the etiquette, whenever there is a program that arranged by a host in their home or outside. So the etiquette is first to feed the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas with sometimes prasadam, and then with their permission, the host should take the Krishna prasadam. So that is the etiquette that Prabhupada mentions in the purport, and that's what we see in this sloka also, the same thing that is followed by the descendants of Krishna and Bhoja. That's one thing that we can also try to implement in our day-to-day life when we conduct some programs. Another point Prabhupada mentions here is Kshatriyas looks like they are permitted to drink liquor at certain occasions. Of course, not in a unlimited way or fully or all the time, but in certain occasions. So that too, it's made of rice. But we see that the effect is by drinking, they all became delirious and also benefit of knowledge. And due to that, they blasphemed each other with harsh words that cause pain. So we see here from that, so drinking is so harmful. And Prabhupada mentions that even such a high cultured family, like the descendants of Krishna and Bhoja, the family members of Krishna, not an ordinary personality. Of course, this pastime is all arranged by Krishna through his internal potency, Yoga Maya. But generally, it is an instruction or a teaching that Krishna is telling how harmful the in drinking of liquor or intoxication. Even someone who is born in a high cultured family, if they are addicted to the intoxication, when they drink too much liquor, what happens is they will lose they will perfect the knowledge. They will lose the sense of control. So due to that, there will be many unwanted things will happen. I'm sure even today also we see many incidents like this, right? Like, so some people, they drink liquor or intoxicated and then they drive car. And then due to that, we hear so many road accidents. There are many pastimes that, incidents that were shared by the devotees also, like, how the boys and girls traveling together in a car in a hilly area, going to beach and then drinking the wine or liquor, and then the driver could not control or couldn't drive the properly, and then they fell down from the hilly area. So, and all of them are died like that. So this is very harmful, or it will damage. So not only that, even if it is not sitting at one place and drinking with couple of friends, but when one drinks too much and they lose the sense of control, there is a possibility that they will use the words that are inappropriate to others who are sitting in the same place. So it will cause, it will hurt those people, and then there will be a destruction or disruption in the relationship. So that's a danger. So that's why intoxication is not good, or even a healthy relationship, or even to health also. Then what to speak of people who are trying to progress in the spiritual life should avoid these things, like no intoxication. And then the second sloka, we see that Uddhava is mentioning how the friction of bamboos destruction takes place. Similarly, at sunset, by the interaction of the falls of intoxication. So these descendants of Krishna and Bhoja, their minds became unbalanced, and then destruction took place. So this analogy is given, like, in the deep forest, when there is a need or when there is a time to take place the fire, then by the will of the Supreme Lord, from the friction of the bamboos, the fire takes place, because nobody goes and then does the fire there, am I right? So by the will of the Supreme Lord, it happens, and then the destruction happens in the forest. Similarly, here also, by the will of the Supreme Lord, the Edu dynasty, the members of the Edu, so they all became intoxicated and their minds became unbalanced, and then the destruction took place. So that's the analogy that Prabhupada mentioning in the purport. And Prabhupada gives another point that how there is no possibility in the deep forest by a human going there and putting a fire. So similarly, so there is the members of the Edu dynasty are so powerful that there is no possibility anyone else could kill them or destroy them. So only by the will of the Supreme Lord this is taking place. So that's the analogy that Prabhupada clarifying us, like, why this analogy has been given. So from that, Prabhupada is stressing that this whole pastime is arranged by the Supreme Lord through his internal energy, so that all the members who appeared in the Edu dynasty, so they can go back to their original positions. And also it's a good, another observation is here. So all the members of the Edu dynasty, they are great devotees of the Supreme Lord. So they are ready to serve Krishna in any pastime, like, so here they became instruments, and then they are acting in the pastime that Krishna arranged here. So in the third sloka, Uddhava is saying that Lord Krishna, after foreseeing this Edu dynasty annihilation, which he did through his internal potency, then he went to the bank of the river Saraswati and sat down underneath a tree. So here we see that again, Prabhupada also mentions in the purport. So all these pastimes are happening through his internal potency. It's not happening through the external energy of the Krishna. So this is all internal potency. So that's why one should not misunderstand that all the members of the Edu dynasty were killed in a general manner. Like, we see that, some people drinking too much and fighting each other in the today's world also. So one should not think like that. Even in the Edu members are the destruction of Edu members happened like that. So one should not think like that, because this is happened by the will of Krishna through his internal potential. So that's why all these pastimes are divyam, transcendental. So one who understands these pastimes, then they'll go back to Godhead. So they will not have another body. So tvakta deham punarjanma naiti mameti sovacham. Krishna says like that. So in the fourth sloka, we see that Supreme Lord removes the distress of the devotees who surrendered him. So that's why, so when he desired to destroy his family, so he told to Uddhava to go to Badarikashram. So this incident happened before the this destruction happened. The Edu dynasty annihilation happened in Dwarka. One day, like Krishna warned Uddhava, so to avoid his distress, because he cannot see the separation of the Supreme Lord or the annihilation of the Edu dynasty. So he was told by Krishna to go to Badarikashram, so that he doesn't need to go through this distress. So not only that, he can also associate with the devotees of Naranarayana at Badarikashram, and then he could increase his eagerness to chanting or hearing or improving his knowledge or practicing the detachment, the renunciation, so all those things. So he can progress in the path of bhakti with the association of the devotees. So that's why Krishna advised Uddhava to go to Badrikashrama. And he can also give association to the devotees of the Badrikashrama, and he can share the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam that he heard from Supreme Lord Krishna. So this is the instruction that Krishna gives to all of us, the importance of taking association of the devotees. So one should be always be in the association of the devotees, or look for the association of the devotees, so that we can progress in the path of Krishna consciousness by seeing the eagerness of other devotees to progress in the path of Krishna consciousness, or their practice that would inspire a sadhaka to stay in the path of Krishna consciousness or progress in the path of Krishna consciousness. Like we see in the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, like, by the association of Srila Prabhupada, so many hippies, they became happy personalities. They took up the process of chanting and became happy. So in the scriptures also we see like many pastimes, like Narada Muni gave his association to Valmiki, who was a dacoit in the previous life, or Murugari. So then they became great devotees. So that's why Krishna is stressing here that the importance of the devotees association. And in the Sloka 5, we see that Uddhava is telling, even though Uddhava is not, he cannot bear the separation of Krishna, but because it was the instruction given by the Supreme Lord Krishna to Uddhava to go to Badrikashrama, so though it was impossible for him, but he followed that instruction. So this is another nice instruction for a sadhaka like me. Like we know, many of us probably we want to be in the association of the Guru or closer to Krishna. But more than that, the more importance is to the instruction of the Krishna. So when Krishna says that, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam, that is the instruction that we should follow, being closer to Krishna. And when we follow the instruction of the Krishna or Guru, then they will be very pleased, more than they be closer to them, So the importance is to the Vani, the instruction, more than the association of Vapu, the physical association. So we see this thing from the pastimes of the great spiritual personalities. Like Srila Prabhupada also mentions one time in his lecture that he is not interested to come from the spiritual world to this material world, but it is instruction of Krishna to go to this material world and propagate this Krishna consciousness and to help all of us so that we can step into the path of Krishna consciousness and make our life in a better manner, or perfect our human life. So that's why he came all the way from the spiritual world to this material world, even though he is not willing to be separated from the Supreme Lord Krishna. But the instruction is more important. So even when Prabhupada is in this material world also, so he can sit in that old age. He doesn't need to come all the way from India to Western world to give this Krishna consciousness. He can sit in Vrindavana and chant the holy name of the Supreme Lord nicely. But it is instruction of his Guru to go to the Western world and then propagate this Krishna consciousness to help all the the hippies or the personalities residing in the Western world to take up this Krishna consciousness. So they give more importance to the instruction, so more than the physical association of the Guru or Supreme Lord Krishna. So we see even the many sannyasis in the movement now. So they hardly have very the association of the is their Guru, Srila Prabhupada. They have very less association, but they executed the instruction of Srila Prabhupada very enthusiastically. So that pleases the Guru and Supreme Lord Krishna. So that is the importance. So that stressing here, or Uddhava is reminding to all of us. And in the text 6, we see that So then while leaving to Badarikashrama, so Uddhava saw Krishna sitting alone and deeply thinking, taking shelter on the bank of the river Saraswati. And he is the shelter of the goddess Fortune. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that so Uddhava met Lord in such a condition where he is taking the shelter of a tree and near the bank of the Saraswati, as if there is no shelter. Now, generally, the people who are in the renounced order, they go to forest and they take shelter of a tree and sit underneath the tree and practice the Bhakti Yoga. But we hear from the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that actually he is the source of everything. Aham sarvasya prabho mattam sarvam pravartate. Like he is the source of the spiritual world or material world. So that's why Prabhupada is saying that here. So he is the shelter of everything. So that's why he can take shelter at any place. So because he is the owner of everything. And then in the text 7, we see here the Lord's body is blackish, is Sachidananda Vigraha, like eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, very beautiful. And then he could immediately recognize him as the Supreme Lord. It is 4 hands, different symbolic representation, and yellow silk garments like that. So here we see that the absolute truth can be realized in 3 ways, am I right? One is the Brahma Jyoti, and another is Paramatma form, and another is the personal form. So Krishna has in his original personal form is a Sachidananda Vigraha. So Sat Chit Ananda. So it's eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge. So not only Krishna, actually we are also being part and parcel of Krishna, we are also Sachidananda. But being away from the Krishna and came into this material world, so we are not able to experience this eternity or full of knowledge or full of bliss. Instead, we are having a temporary body and we are going through so much suffering and we don't have the proper knowledge. We are in ignorance. So to be situated in our original Sachidananda form, so we have to take up the instruction of the Krishna, which he has given in the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. Then we can be situated again in our original form, the eternal, the Sachidananda Vigraha form. And then in the text 8, Uddhava is mentioning how the Krishna is taking rest against a young banana tree. And then he is looking very cheerful, even though he left all household comforts. And Prabhupada explains very nicely the reason or the information about why Krishna the resting against young banana tree. Why Uddhava is saying young banana tree like that. So Prabhupada mentions in the purport that this whole material world, so is the ingredients are like panchabhutas, like earth, water, fire, air, and sky. They all represent a banana tree. And this since they are product of Krishna's external potency, the external energy, and we see that the Krishna's external energy, it is back of Krishna. So that's why Krishna here also kept this banyan tree back of his body, like he's resting, and his back of his body is this banana tree. The banana tree represents his external energy. So Krishna keeps his external energy in the back. So this internal energy is the front. Also, it is mentioned as anger because the particular universe, this universe where we are now, is very small universe compared to the all other universes that are emanated from the body of the Mahavishnu. So that's why this banyan tree is called anger, because this particular universe is very small. And also here is mentioned that he left all household comforts. So that means that Krishna is now planning to leave this universe. So he is winding up all his pastimes and leaving this earthly planet as the pastimes are completed. And in the text 9, we see that at the same time, after traveling many parts of the world, Maitreya Muni is another great devotee of the Supreme Lord, and he is also friend and well-wisher of Vyasa Mahamuni. So he reached that spot out of his own perfect accord. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that Maitreya Muni is one of the disciple of Parasara Muni. Parasara Muni is the father of Vyasa Bhagavan. So Vyasa Bhagavan and then Maitreya Muni, they all got education from the Parasara Muni. So they're all, they both are kind of god brothers. So that's why they are good friends also, and mutual well-wishers. So somehow by his good fortune, so Maitreya Muni reached that place when Uddhava is with the Krishna. So here his own perfect accord. So Prabhupada mentions that generally getting the darshan of Supreme Lord is not very easy. So it's not something very ordinary thing. So due to the good fortune and being a devotee of the Supreme Lord, so Maitreya Muni got this opportunity. So due to his Ajnana Sukriti, so he is able to got this opportunity of meeting the Supreme Lord while he was with Uddhava. So that's why Prabhupada mentions that taking up even this path of bhakti, the Krishna consciousness, is not something very easy. So whoever is connected to Krishna consciousness, chanting of this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, they are all great pious souls. So that's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sukrutano Arjuna, like, they are all great pious people. So they are not ordinary personalities. So not only that, when one is progressing in the path of Krishna consciousness, that means that they are adding more Sukriti. So their spiritual credit is increasing more and more, and their bad reactions are burned out. So that way they are getting purified more and more. So in the text 10, we see that Maitreya Muni was greatly attached to the Supreme Lord. So he was listening whatever Krishna is speaking with a pleasing attitude. So at that time, Krishna was smiling to Uddhava and having allowed him to take rest. And Prabhupada mentions here that though both Uddhava and Maitreya Muni are there, but Krishna is glancing upon Uddhava, because Uddhava is a pure devotee, is more advanced than the Maitreya Muni. So Maitreya Muni is definitely an exalted and great devotee, but Uddhava is more intimate with Krishna. So that's why Krishna is specifically glancing upon Uddhava. So when one is pure devotee, he is more dear to Krishna. So that's why we hear from Chaitanya Charitamrita that the pure devotion is Jnana Karma Dhyanavratam. Like here Maitreya Muni has a little bit touch of Jnana with pure devotional service. So but Uddhava is a pure devotee. So that's why Krishna is more inclined towards Uddhava and looking at him like that. So one should, sadhaka's goal should be towards pure devotion service, not contaminated with any karma kanda activities or gnana kanda activities like that. And in the text 11, we see that Krishna is, Uddhava is sharing that Krishna is telling, so, O Vasu, at that time Krishna is telling, O Vasu, so your mind, what you desired in the days of long back, when the Vasus and other demigods are performing sacrifice, so that particular desire is to achieve Krishna's association. Though it is very difficult, Krishna awarded him to him because that was the desire of Uddhava. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that Uddhava is one of the eternal associate, and one of his plenary portion is one of the Vasu. So we have 8 Vasus. So one of the Vasu is the plenary portion of the Uddhava. So very long back, so all these Vasus and demigod, they performed a great sacrifice. And at that time, so this Vasu, who is the plenary portion of Uddhava, he desired to achieve the association of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So though it is very difficult, Krishna awarded, because that is the desire of the Uddhava. So we hear, am I right? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna telling, "E thamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajahim." Like, however we approach Krishna, Krishna award accordingly. So if somebody is approaching Krishna for some wealth or some name and fame, beauty, like that, so some material appliances, then Krishna awards them. And somebody is looking for some reaching to the higher planets, then they will do it. Krishna will give. Somebody is looking for liberation, he will give. Somebody is looking for a pure devotional service, Krishna awards it. So here Uddhava is desiring for association of the Supreme Lord Krishna, and he got it. So in the, today's last sloka, here we see that Krishna is telling your present life and the supermost, because in terms of the life you have been awarded by my ultimate favor. So now you can go back to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. So this is a success. And also the visit of Uddhava to Krishna in this lonely place is because of his unflinching devotional service. And that is the boon of Krishna. So this is the ultimate perfection of a human life. So one who can be who can practice this path of bhakti and then perfect their life in this human life, they can achieve the transcendental abode of Supreme Lord Krishna. So they can go back home, back to Godhead. So this is not only for Uddhava, this is open to everyone. So if we follow in the footsteps of Uddhava, keeping Krishna in the center of all our activities, whatever the activities that we do in a day to day. So if we can connect them to Krishna, and then we can also go back home, back to Godhead, escaping all the miseries that are in this material world, dukkha. So we can escape or we can break the cycle of janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. So which is the basic sufferings in this material world. So we can break that and we can go back home, back to Godhead. So this option is available for everyone. So, and the process in this Kali Yuga to go back home, back to Godhead is also very simple. Prabhupada mentions it's very simple in Kali Yuga. So just chant the holy name of the Supreme Lord and be purified and then be happy in this life. And then after leaving this body, we can go back home, back to Godhead, leaving all the sufferings. So that's a goal and aim. One should for a sadhaka, that should be the goal and aim. So I'll pause it here. Thank you all for giving the opportunity. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. I see that Paramapavani Mataji, you had raised your hand.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you so much. Prabhuji, I have a question. Uddhava is one of the Vasus, as in this part, in this sloka, it's sloka text 11. And Bhishmadev was one of the Vasus too, right, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, yeah. That is correct. So there are 8 Vasus. Yeah, one of them is the plenary portion of Uddhava. That's what Prabhupada mentions here. And yes, yeah, you are correct. If I remember correctly, even Bhishmadev is also one of the Vasu.
Gotcha. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, thank you so much, Krishna and Prabhuji, for a wonderful class. Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.